Alright, so hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another video. The footage in the background is me doing some Siege of Orgrimmar flex, and I must say I wasn't very happy with my performance. I was doing some very basic mistakes, and I think it's just because the last raid I did as a Moonkin was over a month ago, so I was doing some very basic mistakes, just dumb stuff. So, I'm sorry for those, But today, this video will be for people who are planning to get a Balance Druid, or maybe even boost a Balance Druid, which I feel is a really stupid thing to do, okay? Now, right now, what people are doing, they just boost a Balance Druid, they learn a rotation, and then they are very upset that they are not doing any damage whatsoever, okay? People boost a Balance Druid, they look up the rotation, they think, oh, it's really easy, that's good. They start pulling it off and they have 50k DPS, 80k DPS, while a Frost Mage with the same gear can do twice as much, okay? Those people then go onto forums and they complain, Balance Druids are just bad, do not play, they broken, hardy-dar. They're in my comment section as well, they are everywhere, okay? And they don't understand that learning a rotation as a Moonkin, it means basically nothing. Okay, if you learn a rotation, what's there to learn? Okay, you apply your dots, you cast Star Surge all the time, and then you either cast Wrath or Starfire, eventually putting out your minor or major cooldowns. That's not where your damage comes from, really. It comes from proper Eclipse management, proper cooldown usage, and actually tracking your procs like Trinkets, Jade Spirit. Okay, and actually knowing about the encounter, and all these little tips and tricks you will learn along the way as you're playing more and more as a Moonkin. So for the Eclipse management, if we take a look at a very simple scenario, okay, you're 10 seconds away from a massive AoE phase and you're just about to hit Solar Eclipse. Inexperienced player will just hit the Solar Eclipse, he will go towards Lunar, and when the AoE comes, he's going towards Lunar Eclipse, which is the worst thing you can do when you need to AoE, because it takes you, I don't know, 30 seconds to go back to Solar Eclipse with good gear. Experienced player will know that. He will stay in front of Solar Eclipse, and the second the ads or whatever comes, he will jump into Solar Eclipse and he will do mad AoE damage. That kind of thing. Okay? And if you haven't figured it out already, this video will be mostly about the downsides that Balance Druids currently have. If you're looking for a guide, or if you're looking for the good stuff you can do as a Moonkin, I recommend watching my 5.4 Balance Druid guide, and if you need help with your raid UI, I recommend watching my PvE raid UI guide for Balance Druids, okay? I will put it either as annotations on the screen, or I will put it as links in the description. So if you want to check them out, feel free to do just that. So first of all, Moonkins are very RNG heavy, okay, because of our shooting stars. Now shooting stars, someone could say, is very similar to heating up for mages, for fire mages that is, for their Pyroblast proc. Now mages are not as RNG heavy as Moonkins, because mages get those procs from critical strikes, okay? You crit with a spell, you get heating up, you crit again, you have an instant Pyroblast. That's not the way shooting stars works for Moonkins. Now shooting stars is a buff you get when your dots crit. Now there is a chance for you to get it from that crit, okay? And it gives you an instant Star Surge, and it also resets the cooldown on Star Surge. So what needs to happen in order for shooting stars to proc is your dots need to crit, so you have RNG there, and then from that crit there is still a chance that it can happen, okay? So you have a, I don't know, 30% chance that if you crit with a dot you will get shooting stars. So we have RNG on top of RNG, yo dog, which makes this class very RNG heavy. Okay, it also means that we scale ridiculously well with gear, and Blizzard had to nerf Balance Druids for AoE fights, because previously, pre-nerf, what you would do on multiple targets is you would dot up everything and then you would just press Star Surge, and it would be firing off Star Surge after Star Surge after Star Surge, and it would be doing ludicrous amounts of DPS on AoE fights. Just look at Horidon or the Council in Throne of Thunder, Megara, and basically every fight that had multiple targets. Boomkins were doing ridiculous amounts of DPS, so Blizzard had to nerf it. So now when you apply your dots to multiple targets, you still have slightly higher chance to proc shooting stars, but it's not as ridiculous, okay? The more targets you have, the lower the chance of proccing shooting stars is. Which means that boomkins with low gear level on multiple targets are doing a lot less DPS than they used to do before the nerf. Just look at Proving Grounds, okay? Boomkins are the hardest class to do Proving Grounds with, or even Challenge Mode, because you have fairly decent boss damage, you know, with all the cooldowns and Bloodlust, but if you don't have an awful lot of crit and you don't have haste breakpoints, you're not gonna do that much damage, okay? Boomkins are very rare in challenge modes, because while the other classes can pull off 150k DPS on Thrash, you're gonna be doing around 60 maybe, because you just don't have crit and you don't have haste. With that said though, once you get enough gear and you have decent crit, you have some mastery and you have your haste breakpoints, you will be very competitive. And just remember that it's completely encounter based, okay? Some encounters are really good for boomkins. For instance, this one, the Fallen Protectors, are really good because you always have multiple targets that you can dot up and they're not gonna die. And some fights are just worse, okay? If you look at Galakras, you're not gonna beat an arms warrior blade storming the ads. That's just how it goes, okay? Another issue that comes with low gear level and low amounts of crit is that if you don't have crit, you're basically a turret. The only thing you can do while moving is to spam Moonfire and Sunfire, and if you don't have tier 16 set, you're not gonna get the Sun and Lunar bolts, and you're not gonna have many shooting stars procs to fire off while you're moving, okay? So if you don't have any crit and you just have shitty gear, just get ready for some turret action, because you need to sit still in order to do some damage, because you need to hardcast your filler spells. Not that Moonfire isn't doing decent damage once you stack up Lunar Shower by repeatedly casting either Moonfire or Sunfire. You need to get into the next eclipse, because you are losing Nature's Grace time, and Moonfire, Sunfire isn't gonna get you there, okay? So you need to cast in order to get into an eclipse, but you can't because you need to move and you can only spam Moonfire. You know, that's an issue at early gear levels, and sometimes can be an issue at high gear levels as well, when the RNG gods decide that you're not gonna get any shooting stars right now. Next issue comes with the eclipse system itself, because sometimes no matter what you do, you're gonna end up in the wrong eclipse and the wrong time. You need to AoE while you're going towards lunar eclipse. You need a good single target DPS, well, you just left lunar eclipse, okay? That kind of stuff where you're just not at the right state of an eclipse at the right time, and there is nothing you can do about it, because sometimes the encounters just play out that way, and trying to basically be in the right eclipse at all times will cost you a lot of DPS. Next issue is that we don't have a reliable interrupt. You have Solar Beam and that's it. It has a minute cooldown and it's not very good most of the time, okay? On some encounters it's good. For instance, on Megara it was incredibly strong, but usually you just need to interrupt this one mob and you have a minute cooldown on your interrupt. That's not that great, and these things will eventually happen. You're looking at a mob that's casting this impending doom spell and you still have 30 seconds cooldown on your Solar Beam. You can't do anything about it. The raid is about to AoE this massive pack of mobs, and you know that you are nowhere near Solar Eclipse, and you also know that once you get into Solar Eclipse and you can do some decent AoE, those mobs are dead and there is nothing you can do about it. This will happen, but don't let this scare you away from a Moonkin, because another situation that might happen is the raid is dying, healers are out of cooldowns, and the raid is going down. They're below 50% health, everyone is dying. No, they are not. Heart of the Wild Tranquility, just pop it, everyone jumps from 40% health up to 100% health. You just save the raid, and maybe thanks to that you will defeat a boss. Or just popping Stampeding Roar and watching the raid just run towards a direction is amazing. Or just something simple like someone was out of position. He got hit by an ability, the healers can't reach him. There is nothing more awesome than to just displace your beast right next to him and throw an instant healing touch and a rejuve on him, and then just run back with him. It's awesome. These situations will happen, and it feels really good when you pull it off. You have the best toolkit out of all the other DPS classes. Okay, you have an answer for almost every situation that can happen. And if you're willing to sacrifice a little bit of DPS so that other people can shine or someone can survive, it's good. You're helping the raid and you are still doing competitive DPS. It's just good. Go and try it out. It's amazing to be a good Moonkin.